everybody, welcome to the Engadget Podcast for the week of December the 16th. This week's episode is brought to you by December, the most boring month of the year for tech journalists. My name is Brian Heater. I'm joined, as usual these days, by Terrence O'Brien.
I've made myself a regular here.
Yeah, all the way from Shaolin.
Yep.
And Ben from Brooklyn.
Hey.
Benny from Brooklyn.
Sure.
Hey. Bagels.
Hey.
Pizza. Pie.
Ascots. Oh, it's Connecticut. I'm sorry.
Ascots.
Excuse me.
Ascots or
Just
mascots?
slipped in there.
Or mascots with ascots.
That mascot could use an ascot.
Yeah, that mascot could use. Or a dickie.
Hey, buddy. A what?
A dickie?
Sure.
Mascot or a dickie?
Sure.
Maybe some spats?
Sure. We've already got one tie clip in the room. So.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you wear an ascot and a dickie at the same time?
Probably.
Can you put a dickie in your ascot?
Could you wear chaps and an ascot and a dickie at the same time?
What if your ascot gets chapped?
I like that this is where we've gone, just right off the bat.
Did I say chaps or spats?
Both.
Chapped.
I said chaps.
That time, yes.
Chaps. Well, I know I just said it. I know what I just said right now. Spats on your chaps. Wait, are chaps? Chaps are the those are the like the riding things. With
Yes.
The assless chaps.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to specify assless. I think chaps.
I have heard assless chaps. I think there's a band called the Assless Chaps.
Right.
So
right.
I don't know if maybe there might be some like trapdoor chaps.
Incredibly sadly, this is like the fourth time I've had this conversation with somebody
Today.
about chaps. Not today.
I was going to say.
But in general.
Just
Specifically about chaps.
throughout the course of your life.
Right.
That doesn't seem too bad.
A little weird.
A little weird.
Little weird.
Speaking of weird conversations to have within a short period of time, later.
A great transition.
He always amazes me.
It's not a good segue when you guys talk over it. Later in the episode, we're going to be talking about a thing that you can put on your dog to make it talk.
Yeah.
Sort of.
That's where we are in the second week of December here at the Engadget Podcast. I'm going to stop banging on the table. I know that does not bode well for the AV room. It is a really slow week. I opened things up to Twitter, got some really terrible responses as I asked for. So thank you, everybody, for that. As I mentioned on Twitter, I've now officially been kicked off of Clout. Got a negative Clout score based on all those questions on there, but I do appreciate it. We've got a few topics we're going to go through. None of them are good or interesting, so now would be the time to tune out.
Yeah, if you want to go run, make yourself a sandwich.
Sure. I think the Vergecast starts in about 30 minutes. I'm sure they found some news to talk about. We'll see you guys next week.
Great. I'm gonna go get a sandwich.
Here's what I got. I got a couple of TV things that are probably happening at CES. That's exciting. They're really big.
There's going to be big televisions at CES. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No,
How
Ben,
big?
No, Ben. Wait, hang on. These are going to be bigger than the other ones that we saw last year.
And I've heard that they're going to be even higher definition than the ones we saw last year.
They're actually lower. That's actually the trend. The trend for 2014 is low def.
We're actually going back to tubes.
Yeah.
Very large tubes, though.
Yeah, man.
Gotcha.
You know, my neighbors. I like everybody else in New York City live in an apartment building, and my neighbors were throwing out one of those widescreen, but one of those tube widescreen.
Oh.
Like a CRT?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great. They get really good blacks.
I forgot about how
They're
forgot
crazy
exactly
big.
how gigantic those
Yeah.
things are.
Oh, they're massive.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
I felt bad that they actually had to.
They're
take
like
that out of their apartment.
over 100 pounds easy. Like, you need multiple people to move them. It's a whole thing.
If you are throwing that out, like you have to call the trash company, right?
Probably,
To tell them
yeah.
you're throwing
It's
out
'cause
the
it's-
world's
Or, I
It's
mean,
like
you
a
could be a total
bulk thing.
scumbag, too.
Yeah.
You've got to dispose of it properly. Somebody's got to come and, take care of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, in Staten Island, you probably just throw it on a tire fire, though, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
We drive it out to the dump.
Sure.
Put it on the tire fire.
There you go.
You
There
could fit
you
a
go.
family of 5 in one of those in Staten Island. All right, I got take your pick. I got 205-inch television sets we can talk about. Let's start with LG because they announced it first. They
Sure.
announced it best,
Yes.
and then Samsung announced theirs about 10 hours later.
Yeah, because they felt left out.
Yeah, it's gonna be really big. It's 105 inches. It's curved,
Ooh.
Great.
which I guess is just based on the fact that probably nobody has a room large enough to fit one of these if they're not curved.
So you have to bend it around the edges a
Yeah.
little bit to make sure that
I
it
assume
fits in
that
your.
improves the viewing angles, probably, right?
So
I
you
guess.
gotta clue me in here. When we go to CES and we see all these silly televisions, this is only my second CES this year, so everybody's got to bear with me a little bit. I like looking at the televisions. They're pretty. They're nice. They're very ridiculously expensive usually. Like the 25-inch 8K television that costs $100,000 or whatever I saw last year. It's very pretty, but it's obviously not something I'm ever going to buy, right? Like, and the same thing probably goes for this like curved 105-inch television. Is that stuff just like the concept cars of CES? Is that the
Pretty
idea?
much.
Right?
Yeah.
Like nobody's ever going to buy that, right?
I mean,
like only a corporation's going
These
to buy
are
that.
these are the $10,000 Xbox ones.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that's like a joke. That's just Herod's being
And
jerks.
these are borderline jokes. I mean, nobody's going to buy this. Nobody.
This super rich. I think it's an arms race, right? I mean, that's the whole thing about CS. If you can't, everybody else is announcing all of their wares for the rest of the year. You're competing against all of the top people in that field. You've got to have something that
Yeah.
brings people to your booth. So put out get a pretty model and have her sit next to your giant TV set.
I mean, if they came out and they said we have an Ultra HD television and it costs a third of everyone else's, I would be way more excited to talk about that.
there are those will be there. There
Right.
are gonna be some budget. I maybe Sharp has one, but I mean it's mostly companies that you haven't
Yeah.
heard of.
Mostly
I think
like
budget though, in the
Chinese,
sense it's like that's what consumers are actually going to be able to afford at this point. In the
Yeah,
Ultra
I mean
HD,
we're seeing like I think like you might be able to find it, but like $3,000 4K sets will be coming out.
I'll
at
pull that up.
CES. So
We'll
yeah,
see.
they are becoming a somewhat realistic, attainable thing.
But the ones that they're showing off, that they're
But
talking about,
the
they're
whole
not.
point of these things have always been to make your neighbor feel bad anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they can trick some poor schmuck into playing his $10,000 gold Xbox on a 105
Just
inch
can't imagine.
TV. Let me actually. I'm gonna jump into chat right now, and I'm gonna open this up to the chat room, and keep in mind we are as open for questions as we have pretty much ever been. But
I could talk about the lunch I had today.
I
which
want
is
to
very good.
I want to know.
where'd you go?
What?
I went to Yum Mum.
Oh,
Okay.
It's a local eatery around AOL's headquarters, and I got some Hong Kong style street noodles.
You're going there. You're going there. What? A couple times a week now, right?
I would say at least a couple times a
Yeah.
month, maybe not a week, but it's a lot of love for it.
So we thankfully
Yum Mum
are.
questions now.
No. I mean, there's a 3-second delay. I'm sure that these are going to be coming in soon. Chat is more open than it has been over the
Yes.
past couple weeks. My corporate credit card has been unfrozen, so congratulations to me
Yay.
and Merry Christmas to all of us. But where the hell was I going with that?
I have
oh,
no
I want to
idea.
ask the people in chat. I want to figure out who has the largest television. That seems like a fair
I have a
suppose.
6-year-old 42-inch Vizio.
42.
that's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
larger than me. I've got a 5-year-old 40-inch Sony.
Okay, but you've got the better company, so you win that round. Your television probably does things other than, like play television.
Well, it's got a
No.
Chromecast
No,
plugged
really?
into it.
I had
No,
nothing.
it's a dumb TV. It
Yeah,
was,
I'm in the same boat.
it was literally the cheapest one.
It's got
that
an
Sony
HDMI
made.
port and a Chromecast.
Yeah.
So you're good.
Pretty much.
Because that's gonna that's gonna kill the smart TV, right? I never understood the smart TV from the standpoint of like getting a smart TV, paying that extra for a smart TV versus getting a set-top box, and that like you're stuck with a TV for a while because they're really freaking expensive.
Yeah, nobody's replacing their TV every 2 years because they want new apps
Yeah.
or they've subscribed to this new service.
They'll do updates, but they're not going to be these huge revolutionary updates. And like navigating through that with your remote or with like a
Is
PlayStation
painful.
controller is a nightmare.
Yeah. And I mean, they also tend to be quite a bit slower than a standalone set-top
Yeah.
box or your PlayStation or whatever else. They just,
I know for me, like, I would get a Samsung Smart TV because they have Spotify, and I pay for Spotify, and I want to be able to use Spotify on my television. There is no other option for getting Spotify on my television.
that's not true.
What else? What would you use?
Roku.
Roku has Spotify.
Yes.
Okay, so last time I checked, Roku did not have Spotify.
I give it about a month until Chromecast gets Spotify. Too.
Honestly, I
Exactly.
want that on. I want it on the Xbox, right? Like, so this is part of the reason that I would get a smart TV, though, is that I don't want to have to interact with other stuff. Like, I don't want to have to turn on something else to do all those things. Maybe
not
that's a little different
not
with
worth the
Chromecast.
extra price for.
Is it that much
a
more
smart
though?
TV.
Isn't it like another $50 or $100? Or
I don't think
something?
they're terribly
You know,
expensive.
The
I mean-
difference is huge.
I don't know. I kind of like compartmentalizing things, though, because I'm constantly afraid that, like, if I buy that smart TV, it's just going to stop working. And then I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to have to go out and buy the box anyway,
That's
just
a
to
fair
add
point.
it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Adding that computer component to your television definitely adds more risk
Yeah.
to the situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
also
fair.
have a speaker that'll play Spotify too, which is
helps.
It's also a thing.
A
I
speaker?
suppose.
A speaker that will play? Oh, you mean like from your phone or something?
Bose, little Bose, nice
Fancy.
little Nice little Bose I got in my apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't get smart TVs.
I got hooked on the Xbox Music stuff on the Xbox One because I could just like walk into my apartment and turn it all on with my voice while I was
that
putting
was
my jacket away.
the thing that you were, I think, most excited
It's
about.
really
It
great.
sounded like,
It was
yeah.
like really, really great. And
But
now
if every Xbox One feature, you're like, my music turns out when I get home.
that's amazing.
It
That's
is
huge.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
I won't
that's
lie.
really nice. Getting home and being able to turn on all that stuff without having to actually physically do it is great. But like that subscription died, and now I have no other option. And
I got,
It's stupid.
I've got the Bose Bluetooth sound link, and it's paired to both my computer and my phone. So yeah, so when I get home and it's within range,
you can just start it up.
right up.
You don't ever have any connections issues with your Bluetooth? That's been my experience with Bluetooth speakers in the past. Has been like it'll just break and stop working. Like the
I've had a
connection will
little more.
drop,
I've had a
whatever.
little more issues with the with the phone, but the computer's been pretty seamless.
Okay.
I think
The computer I've been pretty okay, but
Yeah.
the phone like I'll have like Bluetooth headphones or something, and it'll just like the connection will
the
drop.
headphones are a nightmare.
It's terrible.
Headphones
Like
are a
what the
nightmare.
hell's the point of having that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't. There's so many reasons why those are bad.
Right, and
Like-
I want. It's like I want that super bad
Because
Like,
I was like,
would happily pay
yeah,
more for that.
I was like, oh man, like I can get Bluetooth headphones. I don't need a cord when I'm like running. It's gonna be
Right,
great.
right.
Those things are horrible to run with. I've never had or seen a pair of Bluetooth headphones that aren't terrible for running.
I don't know any headphones period that aren't terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I
would
have
I like
them.
earbuds. Earbuds are fine. For
I can't.
running.
They fall out of my ears.
I have
Like,
a pair
I
of like
freak
Bluetooth
ears.
earbuds that work okay for running. The only thing is that the battery life on them is atrocious. Like within an hour, they're dead.
And you go for like 5-6 hour runs usually.
No, but if I go to the
marathon
gym,
running.
I'm gonna
Running
run
Harlem
for
and
at
back.
least probably 30 minutes and then spend another 30 minutes doing something else.
It's
It's
fair. It's fair.
just long enough for a trip to the gym if I remember to charge it before I leave.
Indeed.
Matt Bryan, who should not be awake. There's no reason
Go
to
to
be
sleep.
awake watching a podcast right
Go.
now. Points out
What
that,
are you
that
doing?
LG did in fact add Spotify to their smart TV.
Ah, so I can get LGs now too.
you go.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but
Good.
you still have to get the full.
Yes, indeed.
It's not.
Indeed.
If you are gonna go out and buy an LG set, why not buy one with WebOS in it?
I don't know. I mean, I could think of a few reasons why.
Yeah, I can think of a lot of reasons.
WebOS is here. Well, here's the thing, right? WebOS is neat. It was in. I mean, it's old.
It was
It's
neat.
been on
Very,
It was
a while.
definitely
very
neat.
old.
There's a
It's
lot of
just
love
like,
for it.
but wasn't wasn't a huge part of the appeal how it worked on a touchscreen device?
Yep.
I believe so. Yes.
It was very specifically designed for, small touchscreens, and it did fairly well in that area. If it wasn't for the fact that Palm forgot how to make decent hardware, it probably would have done okay. And
There's just
I don't see why you'd put it on a TV.
yeah. No, no. Other than to get a different operating system, other than to not have to pay to create your own for smart. It's probably
But you can use
yeah.
Android, which is free.
Yeah.
Why?
I legitimately
Why?
have no idea.
Why?
I don't know. WebOS is like there was a ton of love for that though, and I'm surprised that there's no application for it on a mobile device somewhere, right? Like why wouldn't they redirect it towards that instead of televisions?
You mean why has no
Well, I mean,
handset
there's
manufacturer come up and created a new WebOS device?
Sure. I mean, LG owns it. Is that the
It's
Didn't
open
somebody
source.
buy
It's-
WebOS?
it's open.
Is
no.
it open?
It's totally open.
Wasn't it HP?
Yeah.
It was, but
Right.
they just stopped using it, and they basically opened
okay,
it up
got
to
it.
developers to kind of keep it alive. But
Well, so then it was free, right?
yeah,
So there's your answer.
Oh, and LG actually did buy pieces of it from HP.
okay.
So that's
but
I mean-
it isn't open. It's open for development at this point, isn't it?
yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
and there is an open source effort to keep the mobile operating system alive. If you feel the need to
There's an effort,
install that,
but what it hasn't borne any fruits at all, right?
not really. I mean, I don't see why you would invest in it.
It was going to be on washing machines at one point.
Yeah.
Do you remember that rumor?
Yep.
Like all sorts of weird things that it just, which again, Android is perfectly serviceable and very
Yeah.
scalable. Probably more scalable than WebOS, I'd say.
It's gonna be really cool in like 20 years when I have a refrigerator with Android and it crashes all the time because of Android, and I'm furious trying to get something out of the refrigerator. That's what I'm really
Would you
looking forward to. Is the
prefer
future with
to-
Android on my refrigerator.
Have a future with WebOS that
No, I
constantly
would prefer a future where there is none of this nonsense OS being pushed to every electronics device
know.
in the world.
Google now, pour me some milk.
and then it pours me some grape juice because the voice control is all jacked, or it just shoots ice at me, right? Yeah, like who
Or
knows?
it forgets to get a glass to pour the milk into, and it's all over the floor.
Exactly.
It's just I think it's just another case of another manufacturer trying to set themselves apart in a very, very crowded field. So
And somebody in chat rightly points out that WebOS worked really well, or Android worked really well on printers. Obviously, it all did. Every time they try to do that, I mean, I'm kind of with you in that I don't get the really
Smartification
heavy.
of
there are
everything.
certain things that make sense. That cameras are a good example. Like I think if somebody does that really well, it makes sense to have a nice operating system on a camera.
Well, here's the thing: is I get it in very managed doses if it's something very, very specific, but I don't need like a full-fledged Android tablet built into my refrigerator. That just seems silly.
See, you don't think you need it until you have it. Then you wondered how you ever lived
right.
without it. It's the circle of life.
I'm going to go replace all of the cabinet doors in my apartment with, 20-inch touchscreens running
I think
Android
that seems
now.
totally necessary.
Is Grid OS open? And if LG wanted to, could they just put it on a
I don't see why not.
sandwich? I'm sorry, Terrence. I'll wait for you to drink.
Not
next time.
mid-tea.
Okay, so that's all the news that's coming out of CES this year. Looking
Yeah.
forward to that. That's going to be a great show.
I'm looking forward to the Steam machines that'll be
Yeah.
there, and whatever Razer and Nvidia are doing. Probably Shield 2.
I mean,
From
we know
NVIDIA.
we know.
No game companies ever go there ever, so that's the list of all the game companies that
Yeah.
will be at
Yeah.
CES.
Well, yeah. I think Oculus is probably
Oculus is there,
going to be
yeah.
there. There's definitely
There's
going to be some
some,
cool companies.
There's more than was in the past, I would say.
Do you expect that we're going to learn anything about this SteamOS that we don't know at this point, or it's just going to be the hardware?
No, it's just going to be the hardware. We're just going to see third-party partners and pricing and stuff.
Which is basically all going to be the same exact gaming PCs you can buy from iBuyPower and
Yeah.
Falcon Northwest and Alienware, except it's going to run SteamOS.
It'll have SteamOS built in, and they'll all
And
come
Windows.
with the controller
Yeah.
out of the box.
Are they
That's
all
the
going to be
only
dual boot, or is
stipulations.
that? I saw one the other week that's dual boot.
It can be dual boot, but it has to run SteamOS in some form or
Yeah.
a dual boot, and it has to come with a controller. Otherwise,
It's not a Steam box.
Those are the only two
Or Steam
this
machine.
is what makes this a Steam machine.
But dual boot seems to make a lot more sense if you're actually
Agreed.
going to use it as a real computer.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what functionality aside from like gaming can you actually do with SteamOS?
You could whatever you could do on Linux.
Okay,
which is like
it's basically
Well,
just a.
Yeah, I mean, but they do make it a little bit difficult.
Oh,
'Cause
absolutely.
You can theoretically do everything you do with Linux in that you can exit out of the big picture, primary interface and go to a Linux desktop.
Right.
And then try to interact with it using the controller.
I very much doubt that anybody will do that. I imagine most people will just leave it on OS
Yeah.
forever.
So
like a game box.
Steam, as you rightly pointed out recently, has a huge subscriber base. But I mean,
Crazy huge.
are these gonna be anything but a niche device?
I mean, there's totally going to be a niche device, but a niche for Steam is like 4 million people, right?
You
Like-
think those people are going to run out and buy these pricey machines specifically for that?
If like 1% of the user base that uses Steam buys Steam machines, that's like 1 million people. Like that's a huge amount of people. No
So you
matter
think
what,
that
right?
they're
They're gonna even
do
if they
well.
do poorly, they're gonna do well. And it's like it doesn't matter, right? Like they don't even this could all fail, and it would just be another means for more people to be using their digital distribution service. And that's all that matters.
and they don't.
right?
And aside from development, they probably don't have. I mean, they're working with partners on this, right? So they're
Right.
not creating
They're not making
hardware.
their
They
own
don't have a
hardware.
ton of
The
money
investment
invested.
is all R&D.
Yeah.
Everything that they've done, like engineering-wise, has been R&D, with the exception of the Steam controller, because they're releasing actual hardware. That thing's weird, guys. That thing is
Yeah.
super weird.
I've
There's
not seen
haptics.
it.
There's haptic touchpads
Yeah.
on it, and you feel it pushing back on your fingers,
I
which
don't
sounds
quite get it.
No,
terrible
I
and like
like
it wouldn't
that.
work, and it totally works. And it's
I don't want a
completely messed
touchpad to
up.
touch me.
That's fair. That's a great T-shirt, by the way.
It's an apron for when I don't touch the cook.
It's super super weird though, and it's not like a but it. I mean all this to say though that it works well like a mouse. Like it's great for doing things that you would do with a mouse
Okay.
as a controller, and that's what matters.
So it's not just novelty. Like it actually.
It's not going to replace the gamepads that exist now, but it will do the things that those gamepads don't do.
So
Like,
the
it'll
idea
work
the
like a
idea
mouse
is that
cursor.
you can actually do some non-gaming stuff on that.
Right?
as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like you could drop back to the desktop and you could use it like
But so
a
are
mouse,
you
and
are you
that's
going to have like an Xbox 360 controller to plug into your Steam machine in addition to the Steam controller because it's just not as good at these other things. That seems absurd.
It's totally absurd. That's why Steam machines are for people who are crazy.
Fair question from our friend Boobs and Bacon.
Those are two things I like.
Maybe not together. No, maybe
not together's okay.
No, maybe. I mean, you wouldn't.
No complaints.
Look that weird pig in the mouth.
What?
Terrence is with me.
Yep.
The very fair question from B&B. Why get SteamOS instead of buying a Windows computer?
That's a good question. It's another good question.
I mean, what's the selling point?
SteamOS is essentially Steam Big Picture Mode, which is like the 10-foot console version of Steam. You could totally run that on Windows.
Yep. Or a Mac.
Yeah.
Or your existing Linux computer.
Is it real faster if it's native or
potentially? I think that the real reason would be that Steam is making a big push into Linux, and that's probably the future of Steam. So in like 10 years, it'll be what you can choose.
But again, that doesn't address why anyone would actually buy one of these things.
I mean, you'd buy one because you want a PC in your living room instead of a console, which is more scalable.
But you can buy a Windows PC for cheaper and put that in your living room.
You could, technically speaking, yeah.
Okay.
I know. I'm with you. I think it's weird. I'm
okay.
Definitely with you.
Here's your one and only assignment for CES. Figure out why anyone needs to buy one of these.
I mean,
things.
it's convenience, right? Like the same reason you would buy a Steam machine is the reason you would buy a game console. You're going to miss out on a lot of stuff, but they are streamlining a lot of things to make it more simple, and that's what SteamOS does.
But is that? I mean, I don't know. I guess I see what you're saying, and it makes sense that would be the market they're going after. But I mean, it is literally just a PC that you already own, probably, with an interface that you can already run.
If you already own a PC, you could just buy a really, really inexpensive Steam box, and that would stream all your games.
Here's Here's a question. I've heard you say this a few times about what you're excited about for CES, and you're saying this Steam box
that you don't quite understand.
Which actually, now that I'm saying it, sounds really filthy. Steam box. Why are you excited about the Steam box?
I think it's really exciting that Valve is pushing into the more consumer-focused side of things hardware-wise. Like, they do really exciting, interesting, innovative things, and they will push things forward. And so it's interesting to see them get involved, even if it's something that I'm not personally super into, right? Like, the Steam controller is way more interesting to me than the Steam machine.
And I mean, I get that, because, I mean, I'm excited to see what they're going to do, because I just kind of want to see how it plays out. I want to see what the plan is and how these companies are going to make it a compelling thing. That doesn't mean that I'm necessarily personally excited to go out and buy one.
Wait, we're on a tech podcast.
Yeah.
Valve is disruptive.
But again, it sounds like what you're excited about is something a few years down the road.
For sure.
But you're also excited to see these specific pieces of hardware.
I'm excited to see what they do when they're taking this.
Themselves.
They're also just taking on the console guys directly, and that's fascinating. Like, if anybody's going to do it, it's Valve.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Nvidia
it's a ballsy
or Oculus
move.
or whatever. Like, Valve has the money and the means to do that.
But again, for this generation, we're talking about a lot of these things that are going to be more expensive than getting a console, right? So it doesn't go to like. I mean, that's the thing about like an Ouya is that it's $100, and that makes sense to me, right?
Right.
If you can get a somewhat powerful machine, it only costs you $100. The games are pretty cheap. I can see that as being an alternative. But again,
well, there are varying levels of Steam machine too. Like, there'll be a base level that they want to be like either free or very, very cheap. A mid level that'll be like a game console price, and then a crazy person level that'll be like a fancy computer.
Yeah.
But what I've seen so far have been these fancy computers, at least.
I mean,
Mostly.
those are what you're gonna they're gonna show that the
Yes,
most
okay.
at first.
But there probably will be something that will compete with like the Ouya.
Oh, there definitely will be. Yeah, they've said that specifically. They're gonna have tiered options.
That to me, I mean, with that explanation, I could totally see.
Also, the Ouya is horrible. No one should buy that.
And I could totally see why somebody would run out and buy a $100 box.
That's the thing is if they can ship like $100 Steam box that really streams games well from your home PC that already exists, that's a compelling thing. But we haven't seen anything even remotely close to that.
I think there's also a lot of trepidation around streaming as a option for people in general, and I mean totally fairly.
Well, I mean,
because it wasn't a successful business model, but I mean,
that's part
it
of
should have been. Right?
It's also that it just doesn't work great, and the people who play PC games are crazy about very hyper-specific things, right?
Yeah.
Like they want to make sure that the frame rate is locked or
At
above
the
30,
at the
very
very
least
minimum
30.
60.
Right, right.
Or,
I mean,
and, you know,
we're being extreme or exaggerative, but like the point is that the people who are into that stuff enough to go out and build their own PC or who are playing PC games probably care enough that they wouldn't want any latency at all that would
Yeah.
be perceptible from streaming.
Who was it that did the failed game streaming service?
On Live.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, it worked pretty well, but it wasn't consistent.
Did it?
And yeah, it worked. Right.
I set it up at some point and tried to play it, not with the micro console. Like I set it up on my home computer.
Yeah, I did it on my MacBook.
And I played Borderlands for all of about 15 minutes, and it was just like unbearable.
Yeah.
It was like
I mean,
watching a flip book.
I think the consistency was a big problem. Is that some people had that experience, some people had a good experience, and some people had somewhere in the middle. And I think most people had somewhere in the middle where it was like, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, and that's like, I don't know anybody who's like sure of streaming as the future. Like I don't think it's.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this before when we were covering the whole On Live debacle. But
Yes.
when I first saw that demo to me, I was at PC Mag at the time, and we got like a embargoed demo on it. I was like, oh, this is going to change everything.
Right.
Like this is a revolutionary thing, and I've had very few instances of that where I've just seen one specific piece of technology and I thought this is going to change gaming.
Oculus is the only other experience I've had with
Yeah.
a gaming thing in the past.
But you had the same
ever.
reaction, right? You were
I had
just
the same
like,
thing
wow,
with
this
online.
is,
I
you could
completely
play.
agree.
I mean, to me, the crazy thing was, because this was many, many years ago, but like, I can do gaming on a Mac.
That was huge.
Yeah.
That was absolutely huge. Yeah. The fact that I was able to pull down whatever the software was on my MacBook and play games on there was like really impressive and amazing. And I was okay with a bit of lag because it was like, well, I can't play any games on here otherwise. So F it. That said, I didn't pay for the service and keep going back to it. I just played games on my console instead.
Yeah.
So
Which again, like if these Steam machines are going to have any sort of mainstream appeal, they're going to have to be cheaper than a console, I would think, right?
I think
mean,
so.
That's,
I don't know that they're going. I think the initial push, at least in 2014, won't be for the mainstream. It'll be for the more hardcore people who are okay with not having, a custom built machine, but still want a PC experience.
That's God. The more caveats you add to that, the smaller. Like because I
Small
assume
crowd,
most
for
of these
sure.
really hardcore people. I saw a pitch for something that was like, this is a 3D printer for people who want to build their own machines but don't want to solder them together.
Right.
Which is such a small niche,
like
right? Because if
hyper-specific, right.
if you want to
Wow.
build your own machine, it's because you want to solder, you want to
Sure,
put it together
sure,
with
sure.
your own hands. So I don't know, and maybe I'm overgeneralizing here, but it seems to me that people who are really hardcore PC gamers who want to spend a lot of money probably want to pick custom components for the
I think
most
you're
part.
right for sure. I mean, I think that there's some evidence that there's a market for this stuff with companies like Alienware and Falcon Northwest that do these smaller custom boxes where people are like, well, I want a PC, but I also want something I can put in my living room that isn't a giant glowing monstrosity.
Yeah.
And that's like, I have a Tiki PC from Falcon Northwest. It's like this big. Like it's small. It's like relatively VCR sized for the people who aren't watching. And it's great. Like I can.
Do you want to
easily
explain what a
move from room to
VCR
room.
is for
It's
our younger viewers?
It's like double the size of a Wii, and it's really great and it's really powerful and it costs too much money, right? Like it's too expensive, but like it costs too much money because it's a little small, like attractive thing that goes in my living room, and I'm okay with that because I'd rather keep it in my living room, right? Than like I don't want to sit at my office desk when I get home and play games. That sucks. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm part of that weird little niche, is what I'm trying to say to you. I'm a weirdo.
Fair enough.
So
You knew that.
potentially you're the target audience for a Steam machine.
Potentially. Not right now because I have a PC right now, but otherwise. We are building one, though. Terrence and I have taken that responsibility on ourselves. and
Yep, we're gonna talk
start
about
doing
that after this.
Yeah.
We're gonna get moving.
We're going to get on it. And then we're going to tell you all about it, Internet.
It's
YouTube
gonna
Brian
be
Heater.
Oh,
It's gonna be epic.
but I have to read about it.
You do.
Yeah.
Don't actually
You do.
talk to me about it.
No.
No,
You guys we don't talk when the podcast ends.
no. I just ignore your existence the moment this is over.
Let's see. Oh, should we filled up half the show, which is actually talking about legitimate things. So good job,
Hey.
everybody.
Hooray for killing time!
Let's keep on gaming.
I just wanna keep
because we
talking
got
to About whatever.
we got Ben on the show. Nintendo's
remix.
I mean, rarely we see Nintendo dredge up games and characters from the past, so it's
Never do
nice to see them really like revisit some old properties, right?
It's true. It's really true.
With NES Remix.
Which is like kind of a decent idea. I hear bad things. Joystick's review went up today, and they were not super positive about it. But essentially, it takes 16 old Nintendo games, some that you love and some that no one's ever heard of, and remixes parts of them into like little vignettes that you play. So some of it's neat. Like some of it's like a Mario level from Super Mario Brothers backwards, or like.
What
you
is
know, you have
Urban
more
Champion?
limited time. But right, like what is Urban Champion?
Is that as racist as it sounds?
It's
There are 3
even
different
more
Donkey Kong
racist sounding
games
is
in there.
Clu Clu Land.
Clu Clu Land is there's a lot of love for Clu Clu Land out there, but it's definitely a more esoteric video game title. What else is on there? There's
Ice
another-
Climber is really racist against people in Arctic
Yeah.
countries.
Inuits. It's really anti-Inuits.
Wrecking Crew.
Wrecking Crew less well known. There's like 3 different Donkey Kongs.
Some
There's
Dr.
2
Dre
different
in the Wrecking Crew.
Marios.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre is part of the notorious Wrecking Crew. 213 represent.
Watch some videos from that if you haven't seen it.
Listening to a lot of
Please
old
do.
wearing
hip
his
hop.
surgical. No, the Wrecking Crew though, that was like a funk band though. That he
No,
was,
it was a hip hop.
What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You're thinking of the Parliament Funkadelic.
That's big and Bootsy Collins.
Same
Continue.
thing. Yeah. So anyway, it's supposed to be pretty decent, but it's like $15, which is kind of a punch in the face, and it's not doesn't have any of the full games included with it. It's for Wii U only, by the way, in case that wasn't clear.
So
already.
it's just select levels from these theoretically classic games.
Most of them are classics, in fairness. Donkey Kong, classic. Legend
Yeah.
of Zelda, classic. Legend of Zelda? Legend of Zelda, classic.
That's the remix.
Super Mario Brothers.
Elden's Legend.
Classic.
But
It's like I mean, like these like remixes sound like when you used to plug a Game Genie in, and it would kind of mess things up a little bit.
So that's totally accurate. It's also like the game that you would make up for yourself when you got bored playing a game when you were 8. You're
It's
like,
just-
I'll just beat this as fast as I can.
It's just glitchy.
It's like, there's like glitches in some levels. Like some of it's cool, right? Like Excite Bike, it'll have like a level where the whole level is dark, like the arena lights have gone out, so to speak, and you can just see the headlight in front of the bike.
so you're watching
So you
a
have to,
white
like-
dot on a black screen.
It's the NES one, so it's not. That's you're thinking of. It's a little more than that, but yes, it's relatively lo-fi. They've also made the games look a little bit better. I will say
Listen.
that.
Let me do Nintendo's job for them. Let me play original Super Mario Brothers, except I'm Link and I've got a sword. I can walk around and kill things with my sword. I would play
There
that
is
game.
a mod online that is just that, and
I
it's
mean, that's-
super fun. Super fun.
Why are these like this? I mean, like you said, totally great idea, but it sounds like the execution is terrible.
Why would you want
Yeah.
to play a Mario level backwards?
I would be okay with that.
Well, I mean, I would. I would.
I mean,
do
but,
it
like,
once.
why-
I would do it once.
But why of all the things? Like you said, play it
Yeah.
as Zelda. That sounds like fun. That sounds like a repeatable thing. Be like, oh, no, this is kind of fun if you can change characters and you approach it differently.
Sure.
But just to play a level backwards?
Some of it is different. So Donkey Kong, you play as Zelda instead, or you play as Link instead of Mario. Done. That's your remix that
Sure.
you're looking for.
Can you be sword instead of hammer?
Yeah. I
Great.
think.
Just
Yeah.
do that for all of these.
Right.
Like you don't even
just
call it
put Link
remix.
in
No, you just put different characters. You swap characters in
You could
different
do
games.
that.
Boom.
Absolutely. I think something like that would be a lot more interesting, and it would feel a lot less rip-offy. Like for $15, this feels like cashing in, right?
Yep.
Like it doesn't feel good. And if it was $5, I'd be like, okay, well it's $5. But $15, like for snippets of 30-year-old games, like it seems kind of.
What about
rough.
Kirby and Donkey Kong, where you could eat the barrels?
That would be great.
That'd be pretty good.
I'll play that. I'll play that game.
See,
It'd
once
be a lot
again,
less hard.
just take the characters and put them in.
Just that's all you have to do. Just shift everything one.
This is actually
One.
the first episode of my new podcast, Brian Heater Game Designer, where we talk to Brian Heater and have him redesign old games. It's going to be the best, guys.
Listen, we can seriously just do a podcast where we just tell Nintendo how they can do things slightly better.
That's most gaming podcasts.
Yeah, that's-
Okay, fair enough.
We should probably do a podcast where I tell you game names and then you just tell me what you think it's about. It doesn't matter. Like I just give you a
Yeah,
name,
go.
no other information.
Let's try
What is this game
Let's
about?
try this.
Okay.
Okay.
These are real games.
Okay, we're gonna start with something really stupid. It's called.
Are you making up game names?
No, I'm thinking of. Let's go with R. Tonelico, Nell of RCL. That is a real video game name.
What?
I wrote a piece about the origins of this name because
Wait,
it's such a
okay.
ridiculous game name.
Okay.
How are you even supposed to extrapolate meaning
The
from
fact that I remembered that name should be enough.
I was gonna
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Italian guy and Jodie Foster's character from Nell.
Of course.
Own a Kung Fu Dojo.
Wrong spelling of Nell. Sure, we'll take it.
Own a Kung Fu Dojo. That's it. And then there's fighting.
Okay.
From there.
You just got to fight enemies, defend your dojo.
Yeah. From Nelly.
From Nelly. Nelly's involved now.
Nelly's every
He's
boss
trying
in
to
the
turn
game.
your dojo into a strip club.
Is the Italian man named Tonelico?
That sounds
that
like
it?
the name of an Italian guy.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Pretty good. One more. Let's do one more.
I was going to ask what the hell is this game
Oh, yeah,
actually about?
that's good.
It's
question.
a Japanese RPG with it's fighting.
All right, so
Monsters.
not that far off.
Yeah,
not
no.
that far off.
There's a much richer history to our Tonelico than that, but I'm not going to give
Nell?
you.
Have you seen Nell though? It's a pretty interesting story.
I have not seen Nell, sadly. Let's go with one more. Let's go with
See Jodie Foster's boobs.
Final Fantasy 13-2.
See, I was going to go with something much more, like, a
Yeah.
little bit, and yet it moves. Something that gives you a little bit
Sure.
to work off of, as opposed to...
Like another Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
Do you realize I just gave him a name of a game that is called Final Fantasy
No.
13-2?
Oh, I
realize
get
it's
it.
it's a weird numbering system, but it's also like I could say, oh, it's a Final Fantasy game, and then just be done with it, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But... And yet it moves,
Yeah,
or...
it moves. So I feel like that would be some kind of sequel to It Lives, the Rowdy Roddy Piper vehicle.
See?
Unlike They Live, the other Rowdy Roddy Piper vehicle.
There we go. It Lives. That's the first one, then
Yeah.
They Live.
and then it moves.
Wait, you were talking about They Live, not
Yeah,
It
yeah.
Lives. Okay,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Sorry.
Excuse me.
I missed
They
it.
Live is one of my favorite
I
movies. of all
remixed
time.
it.
Or
In case
Papers,
you guys
Please.
weren't clear.
I remixed it.
Oh man,
I
I'm really
want-
glad to hear that Papers, Please has been depressing you.
I want to know what you think this game could possibly
I mean,
be
I
with.
assume it's about trying to get into Arizona.
That's not far off.
Yeah, it's a lot closer than you
That's
think
not
it
far
is.
off. It is an immigration-based game.
You play a border patrol agent in a fictional Eastern European nation.
Did you hear?
It's very sad.
Totally unrelated, except New Mexico. Did you hear that a guy named Walter White just got busted for dealing meth? He got like 35 years.
He's there's a documentary made by Vice about him. He went back to jail apparently, I guess.
Yeah, Walter Jack White actually is his full name, which is that is somehow better. Yep, combines two of my favorite things. All right, Twitter. They're making a Twitter TV show.
Nope.
No,
That's exciting.
no.
Is
they're
that
not.
is that exciting? Is that exciting?
I'm more excited about the
Is like 90% of it Jack
Atari
Dorsey
documentary?
tweeting things? Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
sounds actually
That sounds
interesting.
okay.
Like that's I want to watch, even if I have to buy an
Hunger
Xbox.
Games though.
Yeah.
Well, you have to watch it on Atari. You can only watch it.
Yes, you can only
stream
watch it on an Atari 2600.
Okay, I'm gonna give you some things. You guys say yes or no. It's gonna be that simple. ITP.
There's
no.
just really not much to say. If you live in New York,
Is that the
you should-
Insane Technology Posse?
Yes,
It's just like hackers, but they have clown makeup on.
yeah. You should
Also,
go check it out.
They spray Fago at each other, which is really bad for the electronics.
Yeah.
You think it'd be Red Bull considering they're hackers?
I'm sure hackers probably drink a lot of Fago in the Midwest at least.
Fair.
All right, next.
Okay. Yeah, some of these are actually interesting. Smokio, the electronic cigarette, the smart electronic cigarette.
I did not read this, so
Okay, I wrote it.
Weird
I'm going to
to
leave
see
this
this.
to you to give me a quick overview as
Yeah,
to what
yeah,
the
yeah,
hell
There's
it is.
totally like PR copy in that about vaping, isn't there?
Oh,
Didn't they have
in the
that?
video, they
Yeah.
said they say vaping.
This is
which-
certainly not for drugs. Buy
Not
our
at
electronic
all.
cigarette.
That's what they're. That's
Really?
actually what I like. I went online because I'm vaping. That sounds like an illegal thing. No, but they're just calling it vaping. That's what everybody's.
Is that what they're calling tobacco vapor? I
That's what
guess?
they're just call. That's what they're calling smoking with electronic cigarettes. Vaping.
Whatever it is that you happen to be smoking,
Yeah.
no matter what, it's vaping.
I mean, are they aware that that verb is already applied to
Yeah.
something?
Oh, yeah, no, they know.
All right. All right.
They don't care.
Okay.
All right. So
Or backdoor marketing.
honestly,
another
this is. I'm surprised that this is a thing that took as long as it did to come out because it makes. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but it makes sense that people would combine these two things. It's an electronic cigarette. It's got a small motherboard in it, and you connect it to your iOS device, your Android device. It basically tells you how much you're smoking. A lot of it's kind of a built-in advertisement for e-cigarettes, where it's like, oh well, this is how many cigarettes you would have smoked. It tells you how low the battery is. It tells you can change the amount of vapor that you're getting, which is good. Use that You can just turn it up and down.
No, I get it.
It's
I
great.
just don't know what would be the.
Well,
this
no,
is the amount of tobacco you're taking.
Exactly.
Right?
The nicotine.
Okay.
Yeah, you can alter that. Weird thing, it tracks where you're smoking on that map.
Well, I guess it's just to track your habits of
Why?
places you smoke the most. And
That's the only thing I can think of. You can be like, oh well, I guess I got to stop going to the strip club because
Yeah.
that's where I smoke my electronic cigarettes.
I mean,
I don't know. I smoked for a long time and I quit, and I had no problem knowing all the places that I used to smoke cigarettes.
yeah, that's.
and
I'm
how
wondering,
many
like, am
cigarettes
I
It would
that
be
much
kind of
more
interesting, though.
self-aware
It would
than
be it
other
might-
people?
It might be interesting,
No.
right, though, to see that on a map. No.
Maybe. I mean, it would just be like my car after a meal anywhere I am.
Yeah,
Like
it's
there's
gonna
like a
be
handful of
outside
habits
of the
that you
subway
know.
station on the corner of.
Yep.
What if you found out that you were sleepwalking?
That would be very interesting.
sleepwalking and smoking?
Yeah. What if your spouse is cheating on you while smoking your electronic cigarettes? I'm just saying. What if
These
your
could
dog,
happen.
What if your dog gets lost while smoking your electronic cigarettes?
At very least, I could buy this thing and I could just plant it on people who I wanted to track. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a really probably very expensive tracking.
It's a really subversive tracking device.
Yeah.
Here, I got you this electronic cigarette. No other reason.
Also, it explodes because it's a prank cigarette. All right, so that is Smokio, the electronic cigarette that is also smart and works with your phone.
I remember you bringing that up in chat though, and being like, "That can't be the first." Like you said before,
I
like,
seriously thought. I mean, am
like,
I off
no
base?
way.
I mean, it seems like somebody would have stumbled.
I would
on
have
before.
assumed.
of course,
Yeah.
yes. It seemed
But-
like it seemed obvious when
Yeah.
you said it.
Yeah, yeah. What if they called it? What if they called it the steam machine? That'd be a pretty good name for electronic
That'd be
cigarette.
perfect.
Yeah.
How has nobody used Daft Punk's hit song "Steam Machine" for any of this yet? That's really the question.
Talking dog machine. You want to talk about that?
So here's the deal. I have a dog who I love, and I want to hear him talk super bad, and I was really excited when I saw that, and it's a bunch of smoke. It's like, we sort of have this idea
So
we're working on.
You thought that this was a machine that could make dogs talk.
Yeah! I was like, oh, Jetson's future. Dog talking. Fantastic.
You didn't just immediately. Are you really that interested in knowing what your dog?
I mean, my dog would just
You
be
don't-
sitting there all the time like, food, food,
Yeah,
food,
I was gonna say
food,
you don't just
food.
assume he sounds like the dog from Dexter's Lab.
This
like,
is
that's
where
my
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
callback from earlier episode because Terrence and I, apropos of nothing, toward the end of last week, we're having a conversation where it came up that there is a universally accepted notion of what a dog would sound like if it could talk. Hey,
you got a bone?
okay,
I wanna get a bone.
I need a bone.
Yeah.
That's what everybody assumes because that's probably what most dogs would
Just
sound like.
desperate for
Yeah.
food and bones and whatever
attention.
else.
You want to pet me? I gotta go pet. Come on, scratch my pet.
We assume obviously this didn't work out too well for Homer's brother
No.
in that
The-
famous Simpsons episode where he made the baby
baby.
caller that talked.
Yep.
Danny DeVito.
That was Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen that episode.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
It is.
Has he come back in a while?
He came.
Did he?
There
were
he
like
came back
two of
once. Yeah. There was
Yeah.
two
I
episodes.
feel like he bankrupted the family twice. Does that sound right?
Wasn't he part of the episode with the car that Homer makes?
Yeah. Yep. Good job, everybody.
We did it.
Good podcast, everyone. Okay, the Notion Ink tablet, which sounds boring, but it's actually kind of fascinating because it's
yeah.
the dumbest thing.
What? Okay.
Well, let me start with this. This is the question that I asked you immediately before. Who is giving Notion Ink money to keep producing tablets?
I
You
don't
guys wanna
know.
know something funny about Notion Ink?
Is there anything funny beyond their existence?
This is the first time I've ever heard of Notion Ink.
Oh,
Notion Ink
They
made
were-
two different tablets called the Atom.
yeah, they were a big deal. I want to say like 3 CESs ago or something
They
like
were
that.
only a big deal because it's, hey, look at this weird thing that they're making.
Yeah, I mean, like they were making
In the way
an
that people were
Android
excited
tablet.
about Fusion Garage making a
Yeah,
tablet.
and
It had ports on it. That was kind of
ports
one of
on
the
it.
big things.
It had like a sunlight readable screen. Those are like a Mirasol screen or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was
like,
kind of like before the Surface. It was like, what if we made a tablet that's actually kind of a smart device that works with stuff?
yeah.
Word.
And then eventually it came out, and it was an epic disaster. And they made a second one, and that was also an epic disaster.
It's
And
just like a bad piece of tech.
yeah, and now they've got a third one that
But it's not an Atom.
no, it's called. What is it called?
That's a good question. Does it give it a name?
No, this is the Atom 2.
Wait.
Yeah, no, it is the
I
Atom
hope
2.
the audience sees me looking at both of you.
It doesn't matter.
Wait, this is the Atom 2 that
This
we've
is the
been
Atom 2, I
talking
guess.
about for a year?
No, maybe. Who knows? Either way.
This is the Atom 13 too.
Either way, it's a stupid Android
That was
tablet.
a callback. It was a Final Fantasy joke.
Oh, I see.
See,
I completely phased out. You guys start talking about
I brought
nonsense.
that to the table.
Yeah, you did. That was...
Brought some turn-based action to the table.
Just walk away from it. Walk away.
Secret of Mana.
It's got a second screen along the edge.
Thanks.
Why?
It's got a ticker on it. It's
Yeah.
got a ticker on the side. It's great.
a 100 by 5
Here's why.
pixel screen.
Here's why.
Ticker tape along the edge of the tablet.
Here's why.
For I don't know what.
Here's why.
Tell me, because I'm
Here's why.
fascinated. I need to know.
Google. I'm going to mention 3 products.
Okay.
Google Glass,
Uh-huh.
Pebble smartwatch,
Okay.
the blanket on the name, the Curve, the Samsung
Flex,
Flex
curve.
Curve.
Who
Bendy.
knows? Cares?
Do we all forget the name of this phone?
Yeah, because nobody cares.
Somebody tell me in chat. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You touch it.
The Samsung curvy bendy phone.
There it is. The Samsung Gumby phone.
An LG.
There's an
There's
LG,
an LG one,
as well.
but the
excuse me.
Yeah, but the
The
Samsung one.
LG
so
is the
stupid.
Flex. The Samsung is something else. It doesn't
Sure.
matter.
It's not the Curve.
I have no idea.
Stop it. Stop it.
This is the. I'm
it, both
glad
of
nobody's
you.
watching this far into the show.
It's a whole lot of us just typing.
Round. Galaxy
round.
It sounds
The
like
Galaxy round. That's
Wow, it's a
even
bad
worse.
name. Not memorable. but okay. So Google Glass, Pebble smartwatch, this phone that is curved, and then you touch it on the side and it turns over, and you see some stuff.
Yeah.
What are these 3 devices? What problems are they trying to solve?
I don't even know anymore.
That you don't have to you don't have to pull your smartphone out and turn it on. That's the problem they're all trying to solve, right?
I guess.
This is the greatest problem facing society right
So now you don't have to turn on your tablet on
You can see how many messages you have on the side.
by picking it up and looking at the
I think this is a big part of the
side.
reason why I don't think
Everything else-
wearables are a good idea.
It's like,
at
hang
all.
on.
This is-
I have 4 messages.
Yeah.
Let me now flip my tablet over.
No, but this is exactly the point that I'm trying to make, is that there is so much money being spent right now on all of this pretty diverse array of products who are all trying to solve a problem that is not a problem. Nobody. Zach Honig doesn't consider it a problem, as far as I can
Right.
tell.
Although he does own a Pebble.
Yeah.
He does, and probably will own Google Glass in the not too distant future.
Right.
But not pulling your smartphone out and looking at it is a problem that all these things are trying to solve.
I do think it's a huge problem that when I go out with people and they're constantly checking their phones for nonsense instead of just actually being a human being that lives in the moment, that makes me want to kill them with my hands, and I constantly end up talking shit to people who I'm with and being like, stop looking at your phone, let's talk. You've been there
Did you
when I've
get
done
the time?
this. I've
Did
done
you get
this
the
to
time
you.
for Ben dropping the S-bomb, by the way?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should not swear.
Let's,
Excuse me. I didn't know this wasn't a swear-free
right.
podcast. But anyway,
Things happen.
it drives me nuts. And this happens a lot with us, like our website when we all go out together, because it's a bunch of people who are nerds about tech being like, I got to look at my phone every 2 seconds because I might get an email, which is fair. We all get emails all the time. I get it. But it's like, that sucks. And it really, I hate that. It is a problem, but it's not a problem that's solved by.
Yeah, well, I was just
these
going to say,
things.
is that
What
any
if
better
somebody-
than if I'm just like, oh,
No, it's not.
just constantly.
The problem is human
Yeah.
beings having ADD. Like, it's
that's,
not.
That's the problem.
I don't know how else to put it.
It's not that.
It's me too. I'm part of the
humans.
problem.
So
I
if
don't
Notion
mean
Inc. could find you better friends,
right.
Maybe
If
that
they
would-
could improve humanity, that would be fine. But I don't know that this is going to do that.
all right.
So that'll be our goal for next week.
So
Better
Notion
humans.
Inc. We're all looking forward to that. Good luck with the Atom 3. I'm sure it'll be successful. $30 tablet,
I don't
$10,000 Xbox.
Self-explanatory.
Don't buy those things. At least the Xbox. I don't know about the tablet.
Probably you shouldn't buy the tablet either.
No.
You probably spend a little bit more money and get something that's good. Thanks, everyone.
Are we doing this
Word.
next week?
We have to work, right?
Yeah,
What
we
is
do.
Today is the 18th.
Boxing Day.
So 7 days from now.
It's going to be the Thursday. It's going to be Boxing
Day.
And there's
Okay.
not going to be anything that happens between now and then.
This is a fun episode.
It was. So
Last
I mean,
week was
I'm just
fun.
asking: Are we
You just come
doing?
on
Are
and
we
talk.
doing
We
this?
talked
So-
about Zeppelin last week.
Yeah, I'll come on. We can talk about
What everybody got for Christmas.
yeah,
Or Hanukkah.
or Kwanzaa.
Or Kwanzaa.
Yeah. Sure, there's
Yeah,
other
well,
holidays
sure.
we're missing.
We'll be back next week.
Celebrating Crumpus Day.
Yeah.
If you like this episode, you're sure gonna like what we got for you next week, guys.
Oh man, it's gonna be good.
Real Ben Gilbert, at Terrence O'Brien. I'm Happy Heater. We didn't answer any of the questions on Twitter.
No,
They were all
Great.
They were all terrible.
Were they? We actually got one legitimate question in chat,
Okay.
but it's quite a ways back. Somebody was
Right.
just asking about the Chromecast because they don't quite understand it.
What? It's great.
It makes your
I got one
non-smart
now.
things smart by plugging
What?
in via
And you
HDMI.
control it. You can control it over your smartphone,
pretty
iOS,
sweet.
Android,
And it's
You
cheap.
can use your phone in regular mode while the video plays.
It's pretty
It's great.
fresh.
Yeah.
It's really fantastic.
It's
It's
an
like
amazing thing.
$35.
Yep.
And you
35.
can use it on your desktop. You just open up Chrome.
Yeah.
It's a
right.
plug-in. You can stream anything through
Get
that.
wild in the streets.
Sure.
What?
Good Circle Jerks record.
So there you go. There's your answer.
Questions. Something about money. Python, swallows,
Of course.
Facebook. Apple. What device when used in? Oh, here. This is actually related to what Ben was just talking about. What device when used in public makes you look like the biggest douche? That's from at Epileptic.
This is really easy. It's Google Glass.
Isn't?
Yeah.
You think so?
Taking pictures with your tablet's pretty bad.
That's what I was.
Yeah, I was gonna say taking pictures with your tablet is really really bad, and Google Glass is pretty bad.
No.
But
Okay. What do you have?
I'm just gonna say the old standby, the Bluetooth headset is really hard to beat.
Can beat it. Push to talk smartphones.
Oh yeah, those are pretty
Oh
bad.
god,
You remember those?
yeah.
If you're a construction worker, I get it.
Yeah. Walkie.
Everybody else,
Yeah.
no dice.
Yeah.
If you're riding a bus home at 10 p.m., you don't need to be chirping at anybody probably.
That was the #1 for the jerks in high school.
Yep.
Yeah.
All about that.
It's the primary reason for necessitating wearing like big headphones on a bus in New York City. It's like no.
I wear those
I mean,
because I
they're-
look super fly
They're
on them.
gone. Those push to talks are largely gone.
Yeah,
right? I
largely
didn't
gone,
have
yeah.
one. I mean, I'm sure they're probably still popular in Staten Island.
My fiance has one because she works for the government and they issue them because they need them to wirelessly talk to each other in the field.
You
and
can
stuff.
use them as regular phones.
That's
though.
what I don't understand. Just use a phone. It still works.
Terrence, for you, where did this thing go that I just had up a second ago? This is from UV Cyclotron on Twitter. Will Google really remove the URL bar from the new version of Chrome? Is it for the good?
Oh, will they? No.
Remember that?
Yeah,
Because there was
there's-
a Chrome experiment.
How would
Yeah.
you? What would you do?
It was just I don't know why they did it. It seems like a really bizarre thing, but there's like in the latest version of the dev Chrome, there's like a switch you can throw, and instead of showing the URL in the Omni box where it normally is, it moves it off to the right, just on the side where all your little
Does Apple L and Control L still work?
I
all that matters.
assume as such. I don't know. I haven't played with it because it seems like a stupid thing to turn on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not gonna.
Agreed.
I don't get it.
Or they will do it, and then a year we'll be like, why did we ever need that?
Yeah. Like, why did I ever need to know what site I was
Yeah.
on?
I could see there being some simplification of URL bars in the future for the world, but
I mean, Google's done a pretty good job at that.
Yeah.
Getting rid of all the crap before, the part that counts.
right.
When John Colucci, I don't know, it's a weird name. I don't know.
I don't know that guy.
Some weirdo. When will Keurig add Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to his brewers? This is related to the conversation we were having earlier.
Yeah. I assume in 2 weeks.
That actually
would
makes
say
that
so,
actually
yeah.
that actually makes sense, right? Your
You know what
coffee's
makes
done.
the most
Your
sense to
coffee's
me
done.
is not buying a Keurig for coffee
Well, that too.
at all. If you're in an office, sure. Everybody else, what? Like, why would you
Yeah.
buy pods instead of just coffee? It seems so wasteful.
It is.
I drink
and
it
it makes
tremendously.
pretty bad coffee.
Right. Like, I don't get it at all.
But that is one of those things though where I'm like, no, that's an appliance that I kind of do want to be smart. Like I
Right,
want my
right.
coffee machine to turn on, warm up, and be ready for me when I
That's
finally
the only
like
reason I
drag
would want,
myself
like,
out of bed in the morning.
Like a drip or a Keurig or something would be so I could just have it there when
Yeah.
I'm awake. It's just like ready to go.
That's why I've made the switch from my French press to the espresso machine because it's like, oh, I can
you
just
have an
put.
espresso machine?
I do. So fancy.
Was that from your wedding or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
It's
yeah,
like,
there's
nobody
like-
else is. There's no other way you're
Why
going
he
to
got
an espresso
married.
machine. Anybody in the world.
Yeah. But like I have like a
Italians.
a timer on the outlet, so it goes on every day at 6:30 in the morning, and it's ready for me to come out and make myself coffee first thing in the morning, and then it turns itself off at 11:30 when I know I should not be caffeinating
But
anymore.
does it send you a push notification?
Not right now, but I can set that up actually.
You really could?
I could, but it would probably not be very useful. It's
Yeah, right.
yeah.
I'm shocked that you could even set that up. That's pretty neat.
I feel like this is actually a pretty good question from somebody who thought it was a stupid question. From Liam Schuma on Twitter.
Shuma!
Can the Curiosity rover on Mars take a selfie?
I assume as such.
Probably. With a little one of its arms.
Yeah. Why not?
Google that. See if that comes up.
Mars rover selfie.
I'm not gonna.
Did you see that crazy picture of the what's it called? The jade.
Yeah, totally. Mars rover
What's
selfie.
There we go. There you go.
What's the
In case he's
Chinese
watching.
rover, guys? Jade Kiss? Jade Panda?
Jadakiss?
No, the
Jada Pinkett.
the Chinese rover that just went up
Jade
to
Rabbit.
the moon. Jade Rabbit. There was a picture of like a model of it in Asia where they had left the background as like a picture of Earth, but there's a mushroom cloud over Europe, like China had launched a world war or something. It was crazy. It was like some stock image that they by accident used in the background for the rover. It's pretty wonderful. Saw it yesterday on the internet.
That's a good place as any to end it. I got a
Sure.
meeting I got to go to in 30 minutes.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Who schedules meetings at 5 o'clock on a Thursday? What's that about?
This guy.
I did.
Steak Town.
I'll tell you after the podcast.
Okay, I'm gonna meet you at the bar.
Yeah, I will meet you guys later.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Terrence.
Hey, thanks.
That guy.
This guy.
He's like 50, but he looks younger because he's a magician.
Yep. Not just a magician, I'm a wizard.
Ooh, you're a wizard, Harry!
Here, let's close on this. Actually, I don't have the name in Twitter, but thank you for asking the question. Related to that, what's the best gadget gift you've ever gotten, Terrence?
Best gadget gift I've
Yeah.
ever gotten? That's a tough one, actually. I don't know.
Like a thigh master.
Is it fair?
I really don't know.
Sleepy.
That's something like I'd actually have to think about.
Because I
probably.
think you're probably like me that you bought most of the ones that you have. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like most of the stuff like that would immediately jump to mind is borderline gadget stuff because they tend to be like,
Thigh Master.
yeah, they tend to be like things like big ticket items. Where I was like a teenager that I couldn't spring for myself, and it's like, oh, my parents got me like a really nice multi effects pedal for my guitar.
There you go.
Like that works.
That's good. Happy birthday, Terrence. Sure, we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Jesus.
Happy
Hey.
birthday, Jesus.
And Santa. Don't forget about him.
And Santa.
Okay.
Krampus.